All right. Hi, everyone. Once again, this is At the Table. Thank you for joining us. The only show that asks you to pull out your chairs, take out your books, and join us at the table. And today we're going to be talking about just some, because we don't have all day, of the ancestries that was just released in the Lost Omens Ancestry Guide. And man, they keep making these Lost Omens books, and they're chock full of some really cool stuff. So we're going to get into that a bit. What these ancestries are like, ways you can build them with different classes, as well as how you can incorporate them into your world. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into that, quick introduction, Mr. Mike Capel, tell them who you are, and of course where they can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, really quick, first of all, I think they're releasing a lot of these books right now so they could catch up with the Pathfinder 1 stuff so people from the previous edition could recreate their characters for the new edition. But anyway, I'm Michael Powell, and you can find me all over the internet on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. And how about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Let's hang out and have a good time. And I will save the rest of all these awesome spiels and announcements for the end of the episode. But without further ado, because we have 3 out of the 15 ancestries to try to knock out of the park and talk about today. And again, I also, and this is just me on my docket, Mr. Michael Powell, if you have anything else you'd like to add to this discussion, please. I want to talk about like how you can incorporate them, what super cool builds you could do with them, so forth and so on.
Because I am familiar with 2 out of 3 of the upcoming ancestries because they are, well, I guess you could say fantasy races that we are familiar with. The first one we're going to talk about, not so familiar because I will admit I did not play that much Pathfinder First Edition.
Yeah, and me, myself, and I played a lot of Pathfinder First Edition. So I can at least kind of speak from how they changed it from 1 to 2. Although I have a feeling, aside from, of course, the feats and the mechanics and some of the lore, the biggest changes are going to be in the artwork. Now, I don't have the physical book on me, but if you want to see the book, go get it. Lost Omens Ancestry Guide. There's some amazing artwork that also does a really great job explaining how the variant heritages and the variant ancestries work with other things. Like, for example, spoilers, there's an Aasimar kobold. A holy little kobold, a little baby dragon boy with a halo, and it's, go check it out. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool
but without further ado...
Sorry?
Oh, no, please continue.
I was going to say, there's a lot of
That's
ancestries
my
out
fault. What were you saying?
in this book, and they're all available for purchase right now. You can get it directly from the Paizo website if you want.
Very true. We recommend always supporting them. So, first up, I'm trying to find this online. Where did my search hide it? I found it. So, first out the gate, because, like I said, we don't have all day, we have the Fetchling. You gotta be very careful how you say that, because it's either Fletchling, which is someone who makes arrows, or the L's in the wrong place, and it's inappropriate. So Fetchlings. That's in the first edition of Pathfinder.
Are you reading it or am I reading it? I thought you were waiting for me to read something.
Oh, no. I was trying to scrape the mispronunciation off my tongue. But I was going to say, so Fetchling in first edition, if you're familiar with it, put it in chat, talk about it. It was a really cool humanoid race of people that came from the shadow plane, the plane of darkness, whatever you want to call it. Because we have a multiverse, a multi-dimensional sphere. Things can work in different ways. Now, the Fetchlings in second edition, we're going to go to and see what those are like. But in first edition, they were mostly described as these monstrous humanoids. I didn't know that. When I made my first Fletchling, I thought I was like, oh, it's like a person, but, whatever. But, the original Fetchling art had them like these monstrous humans with huge claws and sharp teeth and good crazy hair. Thank God they've kind of toned that down a butt ton.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm looking at some of the character art here now, and they kind of went what do you call it, underworld on us.
yeah, the Fetchlings look a lot more like how to put it. Well, they would probably work for Hades, and they have like kind of like a pale or pallid skin tone. And from the artwork, it looks like they can actually summon kind of this umbral or shadow energy, and their eyes are these really cool glowy glow. And of course, it's artwork, so they're just stunningly gorgeous people. Like that's not fair. Give me someone who's ugly. Anyway,
Yeah, I want something
uh,
bestial.
well, I'm actually glad they're not bestial because like that was a problem with the original fetchlings. They were way too bestial, and it really, as a player, like how the hell am I playing a fetchling swashbuckler who's meant to be Miguel Antulio from Road to El Dorado and have this hilariously flamboyant lifestyle and have a great time doing that when I look like my entire being is to hold people with my massive claws while I bite their heads off like Attack on Titan. So
That could be pretty
thank you.
awesome, actually.
I mean, when I want to play that character, sure. So the fetchlings, why don't we get started? Why don't you read a little bit about the lore, Mr. Michael Powell?
All right. Let's see. Once human and now something apart, Fletchlings display the Shadow Plane's ancient influence through monochrome complexions, glowing eyes, and the casting of supernatural shadows. Fletchlings are striking people whose skin appears entirely drained of color. These lithe and shadowy beings seem to sink and vanish into the gloom. They see in darkness, exercise control over shadows, and have strange occult powers. Some fetchlings develop their powers through enough to pass between the shadow and material planes, leaving other ancestries to whisper about figures that emerge from the shaded corners and then vanish without a trace. Through magic and other means, they've spread across Gordon,
The Pathfinder whole world of
yeah,
Galarian, I believe.
Galorian, and the planes beyond, as adaptable as the humans they once were. So yeah, let's jump right
Yeah.
into it.
So let's do it. So let me give you a quick rundown on the fetchling mechanics. Nah. So your hit points are going to be 8, size medium, 25 feet of speed. You get an ability boost, dexterity, and a free boost. No negatives. Languages are common, Shadow Tongue, which is a baller way of saying you speak the language of the Shadow Plane. An additional language is equal to your intelligence modifier, if it is positive, chosen from Aklo, which is the languages that Tarrasques speak. Draconic, dragons. Um, oh God. Depending on how the writer intended this to be pronounced, I'm going to say Jizarak, Necrul, the undead language, Undercommon, which is usually the language mind flayers speak, although sometimes it'll be deep speech depending on the edition, and any other languages to which you have access. Do you want to speak to every big bad evil guy? Play a fetchling,
Yeah, yeah,
and of course dark vision, because why wouldn't you? You're from the dark plane. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. And I just want to say, don't worry about mispronunciation of fantasy words and names. I do that a lot.
I try so hard. Um, but in the end, sometimes it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Should we jump
That's a Linkin
into the
Park reference for y'all.
heritages?
Let us do that. Absolutely.
All right.
You want to
Do you
start
want me?
off first with the bright fluctuation?
Sure, why not? All right. Bright fetchlings. Your body proves that shadow can't exist without light. Perhaps your eyes glow brighter or your veins occasionally pulse with light. You emit dim light within 5 feet of you. You can activate or suppress this ability as an action which has the concentrate trait. Additionally, you can force fragments of your shadow to glow and cast dancing lights, and light has occult innate cantrips. Cantrips are heightened to a spell level equal to half your level, rounded up. So they kind of remind me of like what do you call those? Will-o-wisp. a little bit.
Hmm. I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
What I like about this is it seems like the fetchlings have an innate connection to occult magic. So before we go into too many details, I'm gonna just guess that these people, that this heritage, I should say, has a terrific component for working well with bard classes
Hmm.
and maybe even certain breeds of sorcerer. That could be super cool.
I can kind of say it also worked pretty good with clerics, with kind of like the light domain, kind of perhaps. That'd be kind of
Maybe,
cool. Or darkness.
maybe.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's the domains don't really kind of play into that, but well, no.
Mhm.
Eventually, yeah, you get domain
Yeah.
spells. Light, yeah,
Uh,
light you can see the sun.
mhm.
Ooh, the sun could be interesting.
Yeah. Maynard actually posted a question. Wait, activating the thing is a concentrate ability? Like you can only do one of them at a time, and this is it?
Yes, but consider this. Yeah, it does sound kind of crap to be like, oh man, I have to concentrate to do a cantrip. It's a free cantrip. It's something that you always have innately in your body, and you're literally forcing this magic light to
Hmm.
appear and to give this effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not as cool as saying like I can naturally cast Hellish Rebuke at level 5 or
Hmm.
whatever. But the fact that at Jump Street you don't have to worry about the 5 stupid humans who can't see in darkness.
Hmm.
You have perfect vision. You're just letting a light cantrip go while you're going through a dungeon
Yeah.
because you can.
And I kind of also want to say, you know what? Cantrips are great, especially also if you're playing a class that isn't a spellcasting class, like a fighter or a barbarian or a rogue or an investigator. Very useful.
Ooh. Another fun thought for all you role players out there. This light emanates from your body in a 5 foot aura.
Hmm.
Imagine the cool role play checks you can do while you're literally glowing.
Hmm.
Like you're literally glowing in a 5 foot square concentration. You can still make checks. Yeah, you can't cast a spell, but you can probably do like, yes, I am the divine child of insert god here. Look at me glow.
If there's a bright
That's some
fleshling
cool stuff.
in the group, I would nickname them Nightlight.
Yeah. Speaking of nightlights, let's make our way downtown and hit the other
Hmm.
heritages. And now I also just love the dichotomy of a fetchling cleric of the sun. Anyway, the deep fetchling, the deep and truly ancient fetchling, fetch. Mhm. Your predecessors dwelled in the shadow plane's deepest, most treacherous regions. You might cast a denser shadow, have a slower pulse, or find comfort in the embrace of darkness. You gain cold or negative resistance equal to half your level, chosen when you gain this heritage. Free damage resistance to cold or negative damage. Cold may be really good at the gate, but cold's probably going to fall away a little bit
Hmm.
as you start to level up. Negative, negative, always good.
Oh yeah.
Always good.
We have Maynard in chat posted Deep Crow, and also chosen, he chosen, she chosen. We say we, she, he chosen.
Everyone's choosing. Everyone's choosing what? I don't know, but they're choosing.
All right. Next one up is Liminal Fetchling. You come from a line of fetchlings with a closer connection to the ethereal plane and shadow plane, and you share those realms' affinity with the in between and unseen. You gain +1 circumstance bonus to locate undetected creatures within 60 feet when using the seek action. Your flat check to your target concealed creature is DC 3 instead of DC 5, and your flat check to target undetected creature is DC 9 instead of DC 11. Uh, yeah, Liminal Fetchling Investigator. You see all, and you're basically the Watcher from Marvel.
Dude, the luminals are basically, or the liminals, I should say, they're rogue killers.
Yeah,
They're totally rogue killers. Like, I'm going to sneak. I see you. I only have to roll a 3 up,
yeah,
and I see you.
your Fetchling is literally doing this all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, so basically, if they're concealed and they're trying to hide themselves from you, they won't be hidden for long. That is a really good ability.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, the Resolute Fetchling. Your ancestors have long dealt with the horrific in the shadow plane or elsewhere, and you bear their mental fortitude. When you roll a success on a saving throw against an emotion effect, you get a critical success instead. Getting critical successes for successes is always good. That's why they put that in the system, because it really takes out a lot of the guesswork and it applies actual hard mechanics that are very fun and rewarding. Yeah, emotion effects may not be as common. Like bards, I think, have some emotion spells, but the fact that you get critical successes against any emotion effect is amazing.
You know what? I'm just saying, fear, fear. That's
Yeah.
an emotional effect right there. So basically, you could. It's going to be tough to demoralize you.
Mm-hmm. Also, in the chat, Mal is 1974. Great to see you as always.
All right. And our last heritage is wisp fetchlings. Your ancestors' exposure to the shadow plane wrought. What's it? Let's see. Your 1 second. Your exposure. Sorry. Your ancestors' exposure to the shadow plane wrought great physical changes. Your hair or skin sometimes appears insubstantial, and you're slightly and more agile than other fetchlings. You're small instead of medium. You gain the trained proficiency rank in acrobatics, the quick squeeze skill feat, and +1 circumstance bonus to acrobatic checks to tumble through. If you would automatically become trained in acrobatics from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. Hey, not bad. You're kind of like, I kind of want to say, a halfling fetchling, kind of.
Yeah, and what I like about this is that this makes like a rogue build, if you will, like a rogue fetchling, much more mobile and potent at level 1. Like it's nothing that's game breaking. You're not going to be sneak attacking for like D10s or whatever. But what you're doing is you're allowing your character to have massive roleplay potential, mobility, and combat potential by allowing them to jump through the deer and basically getting the flat-footed a little easier. I think that's a really cool build. Now I want to take a brief moment, and I mean brief, to kind of go into what the shadow plane is, because everything about this ancestry is about the shadow plane. Now, according to like the lore of second edition, the shadow plane is a murky, distorted, and imperfect mirror of the material plane. Right, the shadow plane overlaps the material plane, and it kind of serves as a buffer or a conduit, basically between all the negative energy of the undead, the undeath, and in our world, just like there is a plane where all the positive energy comes from, and potentially a buffer there too. So, if you think about it, the shadow plane is kind of this dark and not intentionally evil, but definitely dangerous and twisted, mirrored version of our world. And in the Edge of Legend lore, this plane does exist as well as this kind of imperfect mirror of our world. In fact, I was telling Michael before he came here, you all have met someone from the shadow plane in last episode of Edge of Legend. So I'm going to put that little spoiler out there and tune in Wednesday to figure out who it is. But that being said, so we did the heritage. There's also the versatile heritages that basically allow you to kind of, take from other heritages. But let's focus on the fetchlings. Shall we do the feats next, Mr. Mike? So we are now talking about the fetchling feats for the fetchling ancestry. Thank you so much for your patience again. I'll get started with the fetchling lore. You have learned obscure lessons about your fellow fetchling. This makes it so you are trained in occultism and stealth. If you'd automatically become trained in one of those skills from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice, and you also become trained in Shadow Plane lore. Now, obviously, having niche lores is always awesome. No one else would know this information unless they took the time and effort to develop this hyper-specific special lore. It's kind of like when we talked about Duskwalkers forever ago, how they got to know everything about the world of the dead, or the Boneyard, which to me sounds like the Undertaker's new restaurant.
Yeah.
It does. Like, it's cool, but it's just weird. Anyway, so Shadow playing the lore.
Wait, one
Always
second.
dope.
Phenom Undertaker or American Badass Undertaker?
Oh God, they were so good for different reasons. I would have to say the Boneyard is the weird like fusion of the American Badass and the Phenom, because like the American Badass is like, "You're in my yard, I'm gonna make you famous," that
Hmm.
version of the Undertaker. But then you have the Phenom, who's all like, I rest in peace. So it's a merge of
All
both of
right,
those
all right,
identities.
all right.
Uh,
The second feat here is called Hard to Fool. You're accustomed to seeing through shifting darkness and bewildering magic. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus on perception checks against illusions as well as will saves against illusion and shadow effects. So basically, the illusionist is gonna have a much tougher time with you. Well, not much, but at least a more
mhm.
difficult time.
I mean, it's bonus saves and the perception at that. Perception check, thankfully in second edition, is something everyone's at least trained in. How many times, raise your hand, if you played Pathfinder first, or even like the current 5e, and you had the horrible realization your class is not trained in perception, which is the most used thing in all of D&D tabletop, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has to roll perception, and to not be trained in it really kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they did that for everyone.
All right. Next up.
Next up, another first level feat to choose from: shadow blending. It's a
Oh, okay.
reaction.
For a second, I just want to say real quick. I thought I read it as shadow bending. I was thinking Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the road they get like shadow bending spell. After all, they live in a world of shadow, um, a shadow plane, if you will. So, a reaction. Um, Trigger: a creature attempts a flat check to target you while you're concealed or hidden due to dim light or darkness. So, this is if you are the rogue, you're hiding. You draw shadow close to create a shroud. Increase the DC of the flat check by 2.
Ooh.
So this is really cool because if you are a rogue fletchling, they now have to roll 2 points better to see you if you're hiding or taking cover, and you haven't
Yeah.
broken that stealth yet.
And I kind of want to say this combined with I think the Wisp heritage, not too shabby for a rogue fetchling.
Yeah, fetchlings seem to have a really cool potential, a very high potential out the gates at level 1
Hmm.
for being very potent rogues
Yeah.
or rogue killers. Like it's really kind of cool.
They're sneaky sneaks.
Oh, they're definitely knifey shivdarks, as they say in the Dragon Age world.
All right, next one we have is called Shrouded Magic. We're still on the level 1 feats. This one is choose one cantrip from the occult spell list. You can cast this cantrip as an occult innate spell at will, heightened to a spell level equal to half your level, rounded up. So, yeah, free cantrip is always great. And I don't see it here, so there's no prereq, so you could take this with any class, even a non-spell casting class. Not
Yeah,
bad.
I mean that's what's great about it. It's free magic, and here's
Yeah.
the coolest thing. Let's say you decide to play a fetchling. I don't know. Let's say if you want to go rogue, this also works. Let's say you want to go fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take there's this really powerful occult cantrip called telekinetic projectile,
Mm.
which it gets to be as potent, if not more dangerous than a weapon, really fast. And the fact that you
Yeah.
get that for free, and you can still do whatever the hell you want with that class. You can be a fighter and fight. You could be a rogue and sneak attack
Mm-hmm.
because it's a to hit spell.
Yeah.
So you could sneak attack with telekinetic.
Hey, PJ, do
Just
you
saying.
want to know what I call that spell?
What's that?
I call it the carry.
A carry.
The
Nice.
carry.
I like to call it Baby Yoda. You're like,
Uh-huh.
all right. So shrouded magic, super cool. Blink. Nope. Shrouded
Oh,
Mane. I
yeah.
get Shrouded Mane.
Mhm.
You're used to dealing with dangerous situations and sinister creatures. You become trained in deception or another skill of your choice if you already have deception.
Hmm.
And you gain the lengthy diversion skill fee. Well, if you're like me, and you talk a lot, this may be useful.
This is great for
Lengthy
oops, sorry.
diversion. Oh, no, no, we're gonna say.
Oh, I was gonna say this is great for face characters, bards, and talkers like you.
Yeah, exactly. When you critically succeed to create a diversion, you continue to remain hidden after the end of your turn. This effect lasts for an amount of time that depends on the diversion and situation, as determined by the GM, minimum one additional round.
Hmm.
So, lengthy diversion is not about talking, it's about just being hidden even longer. So, these guys are really good stealth people. They are amazing at stealth. Oh my god.
Hmm.
All right, next up
Next
we
one,
have Slink.
yep, it's called
Hmm.
Slink, or as I
God,
like to
yep,
call
go
it,
right ahead.
or I like to call it, the Slinky. You can move through gloom with the speed of darkness. You can move 5 feet further when you take the sneak action up to your speed. In addition, as long as you continue to use sneak actions and succeed at your stealth check, you don't become observed if you in a sneak action in dim light or darkness, as long as you have cover or greater cover or are concealed at the end of your turn. So yeah, you're really, really good at sneaking around.
This ancestry, the Fetchling, is just got so much amazing potential for rogues. Now the question is, how can you use this in unroguelike builds? Because
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, we've all been there. The min max mind starts kicking in. Really,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Fetchlings are clearly designed for rogues. Why the heck would I play this really awesome class for anything else ever? And the answer does come down to this one thing: what can you do for fun? Or how can you use their abilities with other classes? For example, dexterity and a free boost, right? Imagine if Fetchling make a Fetchling Ranger. You've traversed the entire Shadow Plane, see the worst nightmares that have not bled into the material plane. You've seen the worst that the undead can throw at people. You're used to having to stalk your prey through darkness, but stalk them for days at a time in shadow. And
Mm-hmm.
then you come out with that one critical hit, that one shot to take them down. You have an amazing ranger build there with with a taste of the stealth.
Or I kind of want to say, do you want to be kind of cool? You take all that you just said, make it, and then make it where they pick at them throughout the days. A little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage here. Just scrimmage a little bit, and just slowly take them down throughout the course of a week or a month. That would be also pretty badass.
And that's another good way to play that class. Malice 1974 put up a great idea, a Shadow Bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could also play the Fetchlings as a sorcerer. Um, Go the Shadow Bloodline, or oh gosh, the occult one whose name is escaping me at this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
the Aberrant Bloodline. Um, and you already get a nice dex out the gate. You throw in that free boost to charisma, use the charisma from the class, and next thing you know, you're all about the darkness. Infinite power of darkness.
Or, as I want to say, one of the things you could do is just go full on sneaky sneak with Rogue Fetchling, and then you add the Shadow Dancer archetype on top of that. You are the stuff that the shadows are literally made of.
Mm. I think it's funny you mention that, because I think the Shadow Dancer actually draws their power
Mm-hmm.
from the plane of shadow. Yeah,
Yep.
that would be really awesome to see someone who's like, I am the shadow. Like
Yeah,
that
you're literally like
build. Oh,
that one ninja from Naruto that uses a shadow ability.
Hikamaru.
Yep.
Speaking of shadows, we're now starting our level 5 ancestral feats. We've already had a lot of really good builds for level 1 alone, mostly
Mm-hmm.
rogue, but potential other stuff. Before I get into clever shadow, I want to do a shout out to Malice, who also mentioned the idea of a fetchling barbarian shadow ranger. First of all, I love barbarians. Damn it, don't play my weaknesses. You get a hero point. Secondly, shadow ranger. I have not seen the Shadow Ranger in Pathfinder 2nd ED, but I'd be very happy to take a spiritual instinct and turn that into a shadow instinct, if you will.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if we get it before the end of this year.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like we have Secrets of Magic,
Mm-hmm.
Guns and Gears coming out. I'm sure any one of those books is going to come out with a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of new materials for base classes. So
Yep.
Look those up when they come out. Clever shadow, clever girl. You can perform simple interact actions with your shadow. Oh my god, yep, this is entirely Shikomaru.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, such as opening an unlocked door. Anything your shadow interacts with must be within your reach. Your shadow can't perform actions that require significant manual dexterity, including any action that would require a check to accomplish, and you can't use it to hold items. So it's not super powerful yet. But now you have a really cool ability that lets your shadow do crap for you.
Yep.
That's really
Oh,
fun.
other than that ninja from Naruto, I would also say, remember in I think it's the most of the stories from Peter Pan, how Peter Pan kind of interacts with the shadow. I also kind of see that.
Oh, that ooh. Now here's an interesting character concept. Chat, let me know how you feel about this. What if, because we're going to be covering the Sprite a little bit earlier,
Mm-hmm.
or a little bit later today. What if you have a two-character build? That's something I've always wanted to do in a game. Run
Mm-hmm.
two characters at once, right? What if you basically had one that was a Sprite rogue with some flying abilities, and the other one was a fetchling rogue as well, or whatever, however you decide to
Mm-hmm.
split it up. But the sprite is very clearly like uh, um, not Robin Hood, Peter Pan, and his shadow was the fetchling rogue sneaking
Ooh,
out and doing stuff.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But anyway, let's press forward because we got another level 5 feat called Extinguish Light. This is a 2 action ability. The frequency is once every 10 minutes. You wrap shadow around a single unattended light source within 120 feet that's no larger than a torch. Any non-magical light source you target is automatically extinguished. For magical light sources, attempt a counteract check using your fortitude or thievery modifier against the target's DC. Your counteract level is equal to half your level rounded up. Successfully counteracting the light source suppresses the ability to produce light for 1 minute, but not any other effects. If you're in dim light or darkness, when you extinguish light, its range is 240 feet. So yeah, you're gonna make that you could just make that room dark. Like, hey, I need shadow. Boom.
The, the fact that this ability allows you to make a thievery check to steal magical light is insane. Because
Yeah.
normally magical light, you can't touch it. That's the whole boon about having magical light. It's magical. You
Yeah.
can't stop it. But here's a fetchling going, nah, I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna literally steal the light out of your magic. No more.
Yeah. Especially since from what we've read so far, a lot of the fetchling's ability and probably the class combo you're gonna choose is gonna revolve around being in dim lighting or darkness.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the playstyle of this ancestry is going to always favor the darkness. Makes sense, they're from that plane. But I challenge players always to think of a way to complement that playstyle, but do so
Mm-hmm.
outside the box. Just
Um,
because, like,
mhm,
the min-maxer brain's going to get too
yeah.
heavy.
Maynard posted, "You're required by Raw to say yoink as you use the ability."
True. If you don't say yoink, you lose a hero point. Look, I don't make
You
up
know
the
what?
rules, I just make them up.
I want to add a little addendum to that. You could also say, "Oh num 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 num." You literally eat the light.
I'm actually down for a group of fetchlings called, like, Light Eaters. And their job is to, like,
Ooh,
yeah, something
that
like
that
that.
would be a cool organization. Just saying, the Light Eaters.
Maybe we can make that during our build session where we get to build the
Perhaps,
light eaters. Ooh. We already
perhaps.
have the ghost eaters, so.
Hmm.
Okay, now this one has a special little it's a rare. Okay, so here's a rare one
Hmm.
at level 5 called Fey Influence. You have been exposed to powerful Fey magic. You become trained in primal DCs and spell attack rolls. Okay. You gain the Fey trait, and one of the following features was grant an innate primal spell that can be used once per day. You can get Anteater, Dryad, Gremlin, or Monarch, which gives you, respectively, Grim Tendrils, Summon Plants or Fungus, uh, Bane, and Spider Sting. This feat gains the trait appropriate to your ancestry, human for human and goblin for goblin. Um, So, Fey influence. You you get access to a whole other school of magic for the feat. That's a free feat
Uh-huh.
at level 5 anyway. What?
I'm just saying, take the Wisp heritage and then take the Gremlin. You have a Shadow Gremlin.
Like it's so cool that like because like here's the thing about most classes are limited to what kind of magic they can use. It is inherent in their class, right?
Hmm.
Like bards are occult mages. They can only learn occult spells. Now some spells have multiple schools involved, so if it's primal, arcane, divine, and occult, then almost everyone can use those.
Hmm.
But let's say you are a bard fetchling and you can only do occult spells. At level 5, you can now touch primal spells. That's awesome. So now you're
Yeah.
dual wielding magic.
Really quick, in chat, Maynard posted, I like the inclusion of the Grim descriptor, as though they needed to specify that a player would not be able to have happy tendrils. They wanted to make sure. You know what? I want happy tendrils.
That costs extra.
All right, moving on to the next level 5 feat is lightless latheness. Your body is almost as flexible as the shadow. When you critically fail at squeezing, you get a failure instead. Additionally, when you roll a success at a escape check, you get a critical success instead. If you roll a critical success, you can step instead of striding. Oh, you can step instead of striding up to 5 feet.
Not bad. So like it's great for mobility. This is very great for rogues. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say everyone could use squeezing. This is great for barbarians, whatever. But clearly, lightless litheness is imperative for rogues in urban setting where there's like dense, populations,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to be fighting a lot of grapplers who you probably would never be able to beat that fortitude save with your athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So lightless litheness super
Yeah.
key for rogues.
Or what is it? If your character keeps getting kidnapped and tied up, I'm just saying.
True. Or let's just say you go to Osmicon and participate in the Ultimate Lucha Royal Rumble, whatever. You're going to have to break out of some holds.
Yeah.
Next up, Shadowy Disguise. You wrap yourself in shadow to change your appearance. You cast Illusionary Disguise as a first level occult innate spell. Once per day, the spell gains the shadow trait. You get a free disguise spell, my dude.
Not bad, not bad. Really great if you go with a bard.
Absolutely, yeah. Also, the best thing is the bard doesn't have to, well, really anyone
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to build a disguise for you. If they
All
have to
right.
like disguise the party, that's
Mm-hmm.
one less action they have to worry about.
All right. Now we're moving on to the level 9 feats with hefting shadow. Prereq is clever shadow. Your shadow can contain objects. You can interact with your shadow to store or retrieve objects just like you would a mundane container, meaning you could spend two actions to interact actions total to store, then retrieve the object. For example, your shadow can contain two bulk of objects which don't count towards the bulk you're carrying. The shadows of the items remain solid but take on a shadowy polenta while stored this way. Though the items are in your shadow and can be detected normally, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to stealth checks to conceal the objects unless someone knows to check your shadow for items. So basically, your shadow is now also a bag of holding.
Yep. I told you they were going to make the shadow awesome, and there you go. Now your
Mm-hmm.
shadow can not only interact with the world around it, but it can steal stuff. Talk about awesome for everyone, especially good for rogues, but awesome for everyone. Next up, more shadow stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sculpt Shadows, a 3-action ability at level 9. You coax nearby shadows into the shape of a simple weapon or simple tool or item. Excuse me, using a tiny piece of your shadow to make it solid. In doing so, you lose 1 hit point. That sucks, but this is level 9, so you have at least 9 times your regular
Yeah.
HP. You can create any level 0 common non-consumable weapon or adventuring gear with no intricate parts, written text, or other complicated components. The item lasts until used for a single activity, until you use Sculpt Shadow again, or for 1 minute. whichever comes first. Once the duration expires, the object dissipates, and you regain the lost hit point. No harm, no foul. Unless the item was broken or destroyed, then you lose the 1 HP. As the object holds a tiny silver? It's supposed to be sliver. There. I was going to say, I knew it's sliver, but the L and the I look weird. Anyway, point is, you want to pick a lock? I'm pretty sure there's some crappy lockpick at level 0 you can use, but you can now create a shadow of that kind of quasi-crappy lockpick. You want to have a crappy short sword to defend yourself when you have no weapon? Boom. You can now create a short sword at will, as long as it's a level 0 short sword. You're basically like the... oh, gosh. I was going to say a crappy Green Lantern, but there's another one that's more applicable. Someone who bends and controls shadow. Who am I thinking?
The Shade?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
But anyway, I was going to say,
cool one.
I would just have my character just kind of create a crowbar all the time to like force open doors or locks, or just like bonk people over the head with it.
I mean, dude, going back to the Fletchling Barbarian Shadow Rager, which, by the way, Malice, I love that idea. I'm totally here to either make that up as my own thing, or, which I can definitely homebrew, or reskin the Spirit Instinct.
Maynard
posted, Barbarian just ripping one off the hinges.
Maynard posted, everyone could use a squeezing. PJ offering hugs.
I do give great hugs. Ask anyone that I've hugged. Like,
it is true.
I'm not one of those people who do the hovers. Like, bring it in. We're hugging
it's
for
true.
Real.
I would say usually my hugs, half the time, usually become suplexes.
First of all, I respect your back flexibility to go from a standing hug into a belly-to-belly suplex. That's impressive.
All right. Next.
No. Please continue.
I was going to say, next up, we have another level 9 feat called Shadow Sight. This is a 1 action, and you draw on your connection with the shadow plane to see through all but the deepest darkness. You gain greater dark vision for 1 minute. Oh, and the frequency is once per hour. I don't know how I feel so much about this feat. I think I would give this one a pass.
Yeah, now this one is interesting because Greater Darkness is essentially a spell that you can do. Greater Dark Vision is essentially a spell that you can cast about, I think, like a 4th level spell you can cast to allow you to see in magical darkness. Shadow Sight, I think, could be a really cool ability if you didn't get the one that steals magical light.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Because that one's really dope, but there's some other cool stuff there.
I was just going to say, compared to the other two, Hefting Shadow and Sculpt Shadow, I'd rather take one of those two out of these three.
Yeah, absolutely. And Malice even said free weapons, right?
Yeah.
Malice says it counters darkness spells areas. Yes, that's true. Because it grants greater dark vision, it allows you to see in magical darkness. And I guess that's why this is good, because the other one stole magical light. Didn't do anything for magical darkness, whereas this one specifically does counter magical darkness. And it really depends on the rules as written. Because I know in other editions, certain low levels of magical darkness could and some could not be seen through with dark vision. So check your spells.
All right. Why don't you take the next one, PJ?
All right. So let's see here. We're doing the first of 13 level things. Shadow Assault. Ooh, Shadow Assault. Yeah. Oh. Okay. This is some Naruto stuff, and I love it.
Yeah.
So an Ancestry feat at 13. Shadows Assault. Your shadow attacks your foes. You can cast Shadow Blast as a 5th level innate occult spell once per day. At 17th level, it's heightened to a 6th level spell. What Shadow Blast, you asked? I'm so glad you did. Shadow Blast. It's a 2-action somatic verbal, divine occult, saving throw, basic reflex, or will. Target's choice. That's kind of dicey. You shape the quasi-real substance of the shadow plane into a Kamehameha. Choose acid, bludgeoning, cold, electricity, fire, force, piercing, slashing, or sonic damage. Choose one of those.
PJ?
And hold up. It gets better. So you take any one of those things, sonic, force, fire, whatever, and you can choose if you want to be a 30-foot cone, a 15-foot burst, or a 50-foot line. and it deals 5d8 damage of the type you chose when you did it, and it goes up by 1d8 for every level heightened.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Um, I was gonna say in my mind, if I take this feat, I want to kind of reflavor it slightly and just have my shadow do shadow pocket sand.
But it's supposed to hurt, not blind. I can just see now, like,
Shadow
shadow,
pocket sand.
suddenly everyone catches on fire, and like, that might have been the wrong sand. Uh, oh my god, no, this is
I
amazing.
just thought I just had a silly image just pop in my head when we were reading it.
Yeah, no, I'm in love with this spell. My God, it is the most flexible spell, attack spell, I should say. It can do almost every type of damage. So if you don't want to worry about damage resistance, you can do force or sonic.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose if you want to be an AOE cone, an AOE burst, or an AOE line. It's going to do 5d8 to everyone in those numbers. And if once a 6th level spell, it's 68. And that's
Mm-hmm.
for free when you take Shadow's Assault. You can still learn this spell and just blast people away.
Yeah, no, it's a pardon my joke earlier, but honestly, straight up, this is a really good feat. And also, I believe you can take this feat. Wait, let me check 1 second. Yeah, you don't have to be a spellcaster to take this feat.
Yeah, it's just a 13th level
Yeah.
ancestry feat. You can do this on a barbarian. You can do this on a. I would say you can do it from a rogue, but you don't get sneak attack on this. But still, it's worth it.
Um, Malice posted 15-foot burst within 120 feet. Shadow bombs.
Yeah, 15-foot burst within 120 feet. That's the entire board. You can choose
Mhm.
any spot on the board, and it's a 15-foot burst.
All right. Next up, we have a level 13 feat called Skirt the Light. You could travel the border between the material and shadow planes and even bring others along. You could cast Shadow Walk as a co-innate spell once per day. And really quickly, let's see what Shadow Walk is. It is a teleportation spell, level 5 spell. Cast 1 minute, range touch, targets you and up to 9 willing creatures touch. Duration of 8 hours. You access the shadow plane using its warp nature to spread your travels. The targets enter the edge of the shadow plane where it borders the material plane. The targets can't see the material plane while on the shadow plane, although elements on that plane can sometimes be a hazy reflection of the material plane. While on the shadow plane, the targets are exposed to potential encounters with that plane's denizens. The shadows on the border between the planes bend space, speeding up your movement with respect to the material plane. Every 3 minutes the target travels along this border, they move as far as they would through the material plane in 1 hour. At any point, a target can dismiss the spell's effect, although this affects only that target. The shadow bending is inexact, so when the spell ends, the target appears roughly 1 mile from their intended location on the material plane, though those who are traveling together and dismiss the spell at the same point of the shadow plane of shadow appear together. So yeah, you got a free teleportation spell here. And let me just check one moment. Yeah, you don't even have to be a spellcaster.
Yep. No, basically just like a free teleport with you and your group,
Yep.
and you get that cool role play of what it's like to move in the shadow plane.
Mm-hmm.
The last ancestry feat at level 17, Pierce the Light. You tear the veil between the material plane and its shadow. You cast Plane Shift twice per week as an occult innate spell that can only target yourself. You can travel only to the material of shadow planes, and your body serves as the focus component. Pierce the Light, literally just teleport home. But I mean, planar teleportation is very difficult, very hard to do, and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you're getting it for free, though limited, is still very, very useful.
And I also kind of want to say, hey, there are points where you might end up being trapped in the shadow plane, and then if you have this ability, you know what? Am I really trapped? Nah, I'm a GTFO. Mm,
Yeah, or you could do the old classic like, what is it? I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
yeah.
Uh, so that wraps up all the fetchlings. We're going to try and get to next up the Kitsune. But before we do, I want to take a quick second to put a link into the chat. This Saturday from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., we're doing another charity stream. It was on the docket for a while, and we really wanted to make sure this one gets attention too. It's called the Night Witches of New Jack City. We're doing it to help raise awareness for not awareness, help raise funds for Planned Parenthood, and also in honor of International Women's Day. So there's a link in the chat. I'll try to post it about 2 or 3 more times. If you want the chat link again, let me know, and come check us out this Saturday, 1 to 7. As an all-female group, we have some amazing guests, some really good friends. An all-female group of bombers are going to take on some dragons and some other stuff. So come on, check it out. Links in the chat. More to come. But now the fetchling's done. That's hard to say. Let's hit up the Kitsune.
Do you want me to read the intro parts?
Absolutely.
All right. Kitsune are a charismatic and witty people with a connection to the spiritual that grants them many magical abilities, chiefly the power to shape change into other forms. Whether they pass unseen through other peoples or hold their tails high, Kitsune are clever observers of the society around them. Kitsune are shape changers with 2 forms. One of a fox-headed humanoid, and one largely depending on where they were raised. Those raised in populated areas typically have what's called a tailless form, a humanoid body without any fox features that resembles a more common ancestry, such as an elf or human. In wooded or rural areas, their second form is more likely to be that of a fox. So yeah, I know a lot of people on our Discord were really excited when they heard that the Kitsune Ancestry was made available. So yeah, if you want to join our Discord, yeah, there's a link here I'm posting right now in chat.
Yep. Now, again, what I like is that the Kitsune was definitely in Pathfinder First Edition as well. And they were kind of an interesting trickster race, if you will, for lack of a better word, a trickster ancestry. They also had this kind of dichotomous appearance. One was very much for lack of a better word, the fox furry persona, and the other was kind of like the loose human person with the tail still. And the images kind of support that's still the case. But in Pathfinder First Edition, it seemed like this wasn't so much a natural existence of the ancestry; it was a constant deception check, if you will. So I'm curious to see as we go farther into detail if that's the case or not. But let us knock out the mechanics of the ancestry really fast. 8 hit points, medium size, 25 feet, charisma bonus, and a free bonus, no negative bonuses. Languages is common, and with the intelligence modifier being positive, you can also learn Elven, Gnomish, Goblin, Halfling, Dwarven, Sylvan, and other languages to your region. So very great for core rulebook interactions. You have low light vision, so you can see them in dim light, and you can ignore the concealed condition due to dim light, and change shape. You get the Kitsune change shape ability at Jump Street. You transform into a specific alternate form determined by your heritage. And we'll get to that in a second. If the heritage doesn't list a form, your alternate form is a tailless form of this creature. It's common, humanoid, medium, ancestry, prevalent, where you grew up, typically human. This form is the same age and body type as your true form and has roughly analogous physical traits such as hair color. Using change shape counts as creating a disguise for the impersonate use of deception. So it looks like my original mentioning of Pathfinder First Edition still applies. However, albeit a little differently in execution. It's not a constant deception check or whatever. It's more so a power that you get to evoke, and that power has a save, if you will.
It's honestly, it's a really powerful polymorph ability right off the bat. I'm just saying.
It is pretty powerful, though it's still limited. It's powerful in that you get it, but it's limited in that you can only turn into one thing or the other.
Really quickly, Maynard posted it in chat. Kitsune has a very loyal following.
Oh, yeah. Kitsune has a lot of fans, and I think it's kind of been a recent thing. Now, maybe it's just coming on my radar recently, but kitsunes are very very popular, and why not play your best kitsune life?
Anime, anime.
Yeah, and again, when I say furries, no judgment. I have a lot of good furry. That's a horrible argument. I have furry friends, so I can say this. No, but like the furry fandom is starting to grow and more acceptance. So I think it's awesome that the furry fans are getting more representation. So absolutely, live your best kitsune life. Um, Also, one good thing to note about the chain shape, or thing you should note for the chain shape, if you have any unarmed strikes when you are normally in your kitsune form, you lose those in this transformation. You can remain in your alternate form indefinitely,
Hmm.
and you can shift back to your true kitsune form by basically Naruto Jutsu, poof,
Yeah.
and it's gone again.
I do want to also point out that if you do have like unarmed strikes related to a class like monk or something, you still keep that.
Yeah, absolutely. Avenging Penguin. Great to see you in the chat, you mighty penguin of Avenging. We just finished talking about the Fetchlings, which was a super awesome ancestry for people that want to have really cool shadow
Hmm.
powers, amazing bonuses for stealth, as well as your own living shadow that you can use to interact with the world around you. It's really fun, and you get a lot of really cool magic. Like Shadow Blast, which is basically I'm gonna make this AoE spell do whatever I want it to do, and so now we're talking about kitsunes. So,
Hmm.
welcome to the party, pal.
All right. Shall we jump into the heritages?
Very much. Let's do that. I already got my heritages all opened up.
Cool, cool, cool. Do you want me to start off the first one?
Absolutely.
All right. First one we have is I have a feeling that Zin might have this following Kitsune in its
Mm-hmm.
lands. The Celestial Envoy Kitsune, whether due to Daiketsu's grace or faithful forebearers, you have a strong connection to the divine, affording you certain protections. You gain the Invoke Celestial Privilege reaction. Your alternate form is a common median humanoid ancestry prevalent to where you grew up, typically human, called a tailless form. And the Invoke Celestial Privilege, let's see, it's a reaction, and the trigger is you attempt a saving throw against a divine effect, but you haven't rolled yet. You rise above the triggering effect, refusing to be harmed by it. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to the triggering saving throw and to any other saving throw you attempt against divine effects until you start your next turn.
Okay, so here's why this is really good.
Hmm.
Um, Especially if you're from Shin. It's weird. The X is a sh sound.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a weird.
sorry. I
No, no,
apologize.
no, no. It's absolutely fine. I don't blame you. I was like, why do you keep calling it O? Because X is, yeah. No, it's all right. I had to learn the hard way. X has got some weird pronunciations. Anyway, so the reason why this invokes sexual privilege is so good is because most people that get bonuses to saves against an entire group of spells are usually CR 25 creatures and potential like lesser entities of that domain, like lesser celestials or like lesser devils and demons. They'll get like a +2 or 1 to save against certain type of magic. The fact that you get that at level 1 against all divine magic, that's Banana Town Bonker City. That's super cool.
Would you say that there's this kind of kitsunes in Edge of Legend?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely kitsunes in Shin, Oriosu, Kokujo, the Great Divide Sea Chains. Like there, and there's probably some hiding in front of us that no one ever knew was kitsune. Because why would you be on a pirate city and tell people that you're a fox person?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not that being a fox person is bad, but why would you out yourself as the only fox person,
Yeah.
especially when that requires a dramatic transformation?
Oh man, I kind of want to play a character now that's Kitsune, but just hiding out as a human the entire time.
I definitely played in a campaign. Oh, I think it was the Emerald Tower game from Pathfinder First Edition. I might be remembering that wrong, but she was playing a Kitsune Oracle of Dreams, and it was hilarious because she couldn't sleep. But because of that, she had insomnia. No one could like make her go to sleep magically, and the whole time she was a human, but she like lied about her tail and said it was like a like a fur coat or like a fur shawl, and she just wore it around her. It was such a fun role play
Mm-hmm.
choice. Anyway, Dark Fields Kitsune. You can exert your unsettling presence to subtly demoralize others. When you do, demoralize loses the auditory trait, gains the visual trait, and you don't take a penalty when you attempt to demoralize a creature that doesn't understand your language. You also gain the invigorating fear reaction. Your alternate form is a fox, which has the statistics of a first level pet form. An invigorating fear reaction. A creature within 60 feet gains the frightened condition. You are invigorated by the shock of a prank or the thrum of terror. You gain temp HP equal to the creature's level or 3, whichever is higher.
PJ,
Yeah, yeah.
if I could change a certain thing about a certain investigator, I'm just saying, with the amount of like fear and demoralizing,
I
not gonna, but yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. And here's the best part: like, oh no, Rufus been a kitsune this whole time. Like, who would know?
yeah,
Who
yeah.
would know? How would they know? How would they
Mm-hmm.
know? Anyway,
Oh, really quick in chat, we have Maynard posting location idea. Whole village full of Kitsune in human form who just refuse to acknowledge that they're Kitsune. Completely in denial. They're all Kitsune, and Reef Psyche posted, they're all Kitsune, but they all think they're the only Kitsune in town.
there was a really cool. I'm going to use the term ancestry in fourth edition from the other company that made it so you had kitsune, right? The
Mm-hmm.
kitsune was a thing, and shifters were a thing. But then you had this really cool new ancestry in the middle where you kind of had what the kitsune's had and the shifters, but you could choose a different animal, like a hare, a badger, an ox, a dog. And so you transform into this kind of anthropomorphic people. You had a human form in your shifted form, but depending on the animal that you shifted into, which was, relegated to
Yeah.
your family or bloodline, you
I,
got different
mhm.
bonuses. I think you could also turn into a moose.
I think you're one of the dog thing I think you're talking about. I think you're talking about tanukis. They're like raccoon dogs in Japanese like they're actual animals, like raccoon dogs. Like,
Oh
Mario
yeah,
had a
no,
had
tanukis
a
are definitely a
power
real
up
thing. But
form of that. It turned into a statue.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like there was absolutely that animal, but you could turn only into one animal that you
Mhm.
chose at your first level. But that's not the point. The point is next up, the Earthly Winds Kitsune. I think this is yours.
No, it's Earthly Wilds Kitsune.
Yes. Thank you for the correction. Earthly Wilds.
Mhm.
What's in my
Uh,
coffee?
yeah. You are a creature of the material world with affinity closer to the wilds than urban society. You gain a Jaws unarmed attack that deals 1d6 piercing damage. Your Jaws are in the brawling group and have the finesse and unarmed traits. Your alternate form is a fox, which has the statistics of a first level pest form.
So what I like about the Earthly Wilds and the Dark Fields is that it's like you're expecting, okay, I'm going to turn to this fox person or this human, but now you're like fox person or just like a mundane fox.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone always loves having those animal companions. You're like, okay, mundane animal, go blend in and go do stealth stuff while no one's paying attention. So there's a lot of really cool potential there.
Mm-hmm. All right. You got the next one?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Empty Sky Kitsune. Your spirit is open to the secrets of beyond, granting you greater access to Kitsune magic. You gain the Kitsune spell Familiarity Ancestry feat, opening that up right now. Your alternate form is a common medium humanoid ancestry prevalent to where you came up, so a tailless form, and the Kitsune spell Familiarity. You've picked up a few magical tricks. During your daily preparations, choose Days, Forbidden Ward, or Ghost Sound. Until your next daily preparation, you can cast this cantrip as a divine innate spell at will. A cantrip is heightened to a spell level equal to your level rounded up. At level 1, you get to choose between one of 3 cantrips, and you get to change them daily, and you get to cast that cantrip at will. I think from what I'm reading,
All day,
daily,
every day?
and yeah, until you wake up, you get to choose another one.
Not
So
bad.
this is actually a really good heritage if you want to have a
Yeah.
lot of cantrip versatility.
Does it require you to be in a spell casting class?
Oh no, not at all. It's just an
Nice.
ancestry ability. It's just
Nice.
it's free magic.
Nice.
Who doesn't
I
hate
always
free?
ask that. I always ask that, you know? Because sometimes it does. It does matter. But anyway, I believe I have the last one, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Our last one is, well, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It's the frozen wind Kitsune. Your ancestors crossed around the world or resided on snowy peaks. You gain cold resistance equal to half your level, minimum one. You treat environmental cold effects as if they were one step less extreme. Incredible cold becomes extreme. Extreme cold becomes severe, and so forth. Your alternate form is a common medium humanoid ancestry prevalent to where you grew up, typically human, called a tailless form.
Yeah. So it looks to me like so the kitsune fox, that's your real face, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fox face is your real face.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like you only get two varieties of not a fox person, and that is full little fox or a human or tailless form.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly is probably all you need. I think if it got
Yeah.
too complex, it would just feel weird.
Yeah.
Um, these are some very interesting heritages. I love the fact that they get some good variety between melee, stealth, diplomacy, magic. A lot of good things there.
Yeah.
Now, let us dip into the good. Let's go into the feats.
Mm-hmm. I
You want me to
do.
start off, or do you want to start off?
Um. Yeah, I'll take the first one.
All right.
1 second. I just click. Big thumbs. There we go. All right. First one we have is called Foxfire. Level 1 feat. A crack of your tail sparks wisp of blue energy. Choose either electricity or fire when you gain this feat. You gain a Foxfire range unarmed attack with a maximum range of 20 feet. The attack deals 1d4 damage of the chosen type. No ability modifier is added to the damage roll. Your Foxfire attack is in the sling weapon group. Like other unarmed attacks, you can improve this attack with hand wraps of mighty blows. Special, if you are a frozen wind kitsune, your Foxfire deals cold damage instead of electricity or fire. This is actually
Okay.
really nice. Okay,
I'm getting excited.
okay.
Stop, collaborate, and listen. This gives you a free range attack. Yeah, 1d4, whatever, who cares? But you get to upgrade it with hand wraps of mighty blows.
Yeah,
You get to apply attack runes to this bad boy. You get to put major striking runes, so it does an extra 3d4 damage. You get to put on holy, so it does an extra 1d6 holy damage, and on a crit, it lets you heal yourself.
mm-hmm.
You you've just given
Yeah.
yourself a fully customizable natural from Jump Street 1d4 Kamehameha.
Question: would you be tying your hand wraps around your tail then?
Yes. I mean, rules is written no, but yes.
There we go. There you go. All right, PJ, why don't you take the next feat?
All right. So while I'm recovering from my absolute conniption over Foxfire, Kitsune lore. And if you know these lore feats from other ancestries, you're pretty you pretty much already guessed it. You get diplomacy and deception. If you already have that, you get one skill of your choice from another. You get another skill. But also you get Kitsune lore, which I mean, again, and someone pointed this earlier. If you really want to spend the time early levels, you can just get these really niche, crazy lores. Sure, but is it really a good use of your level one? Probably not. But the fact that you as a kitsune get this hyper specific, super cool lore as part of your feats, I mean, yeah, it's not a fully customizable like low riding Kamehameha of death, but it's still cool. It's still unique.
I will say this: it actually it works better with certain classes. Like if you play an investigator Kitsune, it just helps you honestly become trained in every skill, almost every skill right off the bat. Because you are also trained in diplomacy and deception, and get a free lore.
Yeah. Reef Psyche put in the chat, Kitsune Monk seems like the move for real. Yeah, Kitsune Monk with Foxfire, maybe even some levels in like Rogue or Shadow Dancer. Could be the move.
I want to say
Could be the
investigator,
move.
honestly. But anyway, moving on. Our next feat. Can I skip the next feat because we already read it? Because it's the Kitsune spell familiarity.
That is a very good point. Yes, the other ancestry just gave us that for free. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead and read Retractable Clause.
All right. Cool. Retractable Claws. Level 1 feat. You gain a claw unarmed attack that deals 1d4 slashing damage. Your claws are in the brawling group and have the agile, finesse, and unarmed traits. So yeah, if you're going that monk rate or martial artist archetype, boom.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I think, if I was to say in favor of Foxfire instead of Retractable Claws, if you are a monk, your unarmed strike does more damage than the Retractable Claws.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, if you have to choose between a 4 and a 6 plus dexterity, you might go the 6 more.
Yeah.
But the one good thing that Foxfire presents that the Retractable Claws doesn't is a elemental damage and of course customization from there, but also the range factor. It's a ranged hit. Hell, if you're a rogue Kitsune, your Foxfire can still within 30 feet constitute sneak attack.
Yep.
So that's very dope. And you get to oh my god, and you oh I'm having so many I'm having a GM
PJ's
crisis.
having a conniption fit.
Foxfire. Like you're not that great, but you're also great. What okay, moving right along. I don't have time to fixate. Shape Changer's Intuition. This is also a feat you can take at first level as a Kitsune. A lifetime experience helps you see through disguises. When you come within 10 feet of a creature that is transformed into another form or is impersonating a specific creature, the GM rolls a secret perception check for you to realize the creature is transformed if you didn't spend an action to seek against the creature. So this is a fun, really fun ability to F you pay me to the narrative, but it's also a pain in the ass for GMs because the whole point of this is that we do this for you and then slide that intel over to you. If we forget because we're watching you guys roleplay, or if we forget because there's 30 other narratives going on, this ability is useless because then you're going to have to remind us to give you that secret, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose, right? Mm-hmm. You might as well just make a perception check. So it's awesome, but you better. But as a GM, you're going to be doing more work.
All right. Next up, we have Star Orb. Level 1 feat. Your magic has crystallized into a spherical stone. You gain a familiar, except it's a star orb. A tiny stone of light bulk. The familiar has no speeds and must select a speed familiar ability before it can move, animating in a way appropriate to the chosen speed and using the statistics of a normal familiar for that day. When it's a movable stone, it can't select any familiar or master abilities that require it to move. It always have the innate surge master ability. So you have a rock pet. You have a pet rock. Yeah, it's a pet rock.
Oh, I love
literally.
That. It's a tiny stone. I love it. It's like, hello, I am, Hokokaze, the Kitsune of Oriyasu. I am a master of the winds and the secrets that lies on it. And this is my pet rock, Stony. Hello, Stony.
Wait.
Oh, he's peeing again. Sorry.
1 sec. Here, this is my pet rock. Also, thank you to Avenging Penguin for this. He sent me this one. It's really cool. Sent me 3 of them, actually.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Can't select any familiar or master abilities required to move. It always has the innate surge master ability. Oh, okay, that's what it is. I was like, why the hell would you want this pet rock? But it has innate surge. Once per day, you can draw upon your familiar's innate magic to replenish your own. Yeah, it's your pet rock is basically a mana bank.
Yeah, and it can move. It can move, but it needs to choose a speed or somehow.
Yeah, well, that's just. I think it said it can't use certain abilities to move more than what it has,
Mm-hmm.
but it does go into something called, I think, Killer Stone and Killing Stone. And that happens at level 13. So before we get to level 13, let's do level 5. There is the Fey influence, which if you remember in the Fetchling we talked about. So I'm going to go over this quickly and then go on to the next level 5 feat.
Yep.
But the Fey influence basically allows you to now have primal DCs, opens you up to primal spells and attack rolls, and gives you one free primal spell that you can cast once per day as an innate spell. This is awesome because if you continue to level up after this, in theory, you could start learning more primal spells into your spell repertoire. Also, having free spells. Delicious.
Ooh, I just had a thought.
What's that?
Kitsune could also work very well with Witch class.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And your pet
Yeah.
rock, it could be your, your spellbook pet, your spellbook familiar too.
Yeah, honestly, it really could. I'm gonna double check the witch features because I think with the witch you can get like more than one familiar, but you can only have one out at a time, very
Hmm.
Pokemon style. Reap Psyche and Malice are talking about what happens when you give the fly ability to the rock. Malice brought it up, and then Reap Psyche continues to say, "Have Pebo fly high, then drop Pebo."
Oh, I just had a thought.
Um,
Have
so
enemy eat Pebo,
yeah.
then have the Pebo enlarge.
Oh no. That reminds me of the what was it? The way to kill a Tarrasque at level 3 or 5. Basically, it's to create a bunch of like stone statues, turn them stone to flesh, so he eats them, then turn them back to stone and have him get drowned.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Kitsune feats. So after Fey influence, you have hybrid forms. I just want to get rid of
Hmm.
the Fey one
Yeah.
because we already covered it, but hybrid form. When you change shape, the thing you get for free at level 1, you can retain the elements of your Kitsune form, allowing you to speak in fox form to people or use your unarmed attacks as a tailless, or gain a tail in tailless form to use abilities that require one. You can change shape to alter the details of your hybrid form without fully changing into your true form or your alternate form. While in this hybrid form, your fox-like features make it obvious that you are clearly not a human, a normal human, I should say. So hybrid's kind of cool. This lets you kind of do whatever you want
It
between
it
the forms.
kind of reminds me of the in between shapes of like werewolves from World of Darkness.
Yeah, yeah, like the people who can't fully go lycanthrope or fully
Yeah.
go
Or
zoanthrope. Yeah,
there
they.
are like there as actually like in between forms, like
Mhm.
between wolf and man is called I am blanking on it right now, but it's like you're basically just a huge burly man with just like huge mutton chops and claws and sharp teeth.
Yeah,
Or
and
yeah,
he's an iconic werewolf, right? I can't remember what his name
yeah,
is, but
and
yeah, he's in the new
also
video
the
game.
in between form between full werewolf and wolf is basically like a giant dire wolf.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, Maynard is saying, talking about growing the pebbles. I thought you were going to say it reminds me of Ant-Man. Rube Psyche continues, imagine having so much fun and control over it that you can just choose how hairy you want to be as a kitsune.
Hmm.
Have a half orc as your alt form, then use hybrid to give them a tail. That would be interesting. A
Yeah.
half orc with a furry tail.
All right. But anyway, moving on, we have Kitsune Spell Mysteries, level 5 feat. Prereq is at least one innate spell from a Kitsune heritage or ancestry feat. You know more Kitsune magic. During your daily preparations, choose Bane, Illusionary Object, or Sanctuary. You could cast this as a first level divine innate spell once that day. So basically a free spell.
Yeah, I mean, a free Bane, I
Yeah.
don't care who you are. That's good right there. Let's see. Next up, we have Myriad Forms. With a bit of self-discovery, you find a new form. You gain the alternate form of a kitsune heritage other than your own, adding it to the options for your changed shape. I'm going to assume this means that instead of choosing between full fox or tailless, you basically get all three variants. You get
Yeah.
the big fox, little fox, and tailless.
Or I think you can also mix it up where, you know what, just get another humanoid form.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. I think shifting faces, which is another level 5 feat,
Yeah.
may do that
Well,
as
let's read that. Level 5 feat, shifting faces, frequency once per day, prereq tailless alternate form. You wear many faces, even those that don't belong to you. When you change shape into your tailless form, you gain the effects of a third level illusionary disguise for 1 hour or till you shift back, except it's a transmutation effect rather than illusion. So yeah, kinda, but
Ooh.
I would still say I would still allow, at least at my table, if I'm GMing, you could choose a different full form for with a myriad form.
True. I think, but well, first of all, it's a level 5 ancestry feat, so you can only choose one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, if you wanted to forego your ninth level ancestry feat, you could maybe
Hmm.
choose a fifth level. But I feel like the ninth level feat would be so good, you probably wouldn't want to go along that path.
Yeah.
But the good thing about this is that this is transmutation, not illusion,
Hmm.
meaning there is no worry about a perception check versus your whatever or your whatever save versus their perception DC. You just physically are this now.
Hmm.
So like if they're going to figure out who you are, that's going to be a whole other mess. This is really good for
Hmm.
role play games where you have to be like boots on the ground
Yeah.
in the live.
Hmm.
Malice 1974 says, "Now, can you take these feats multiple times for multiple spells and tails?" Um, I mean, if you want to be the nine-tailed fox, like I'm here to make that work.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't say you can't.
Yeah. But you will be giving up other abilities, like the first ninth level feat, which is called Fox Trick. So if you want to get rid of that for the more tails, go for you. Fox Trick is a free action. You can use it once per hour. You always have time for a joke or prank. You can create a diversion, conceal an object, or hide. All creatures who witness you fox trick then wise up to it, becoming temporarily immune to your fox tricks for 2 hours. It's just a free,
It's
like
basically you
that's
become a Looney Tune. You become a Looney Tunes.
fun. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Nine tail fox, baby. Forget nine. Just keep going. Yeah. Get
All
12
right.
tails.
Next up, we have a level 13 feat called Killing Stone. Prereq, you have to have that Star Orb feat, which means it's an upgrade to your pet rock. Your Star Orb hides a deadly miasma. You can cast 5th level Cloud Kill as a divine innate spell once per day. The spell's normal components are replaced with a focus component, your Star Orb, and a somatic component to aim the orb towards a location for the spell.
So now your little pebble is no longer just a mana battery. It can also just cast Cloud Kill by itself as long as you're
Yeah.
giving up the focus points. Oh my god, that's awesome. Killing Stone could be the move. Now let's see what happens at level 13. The other level 13 feat, which is Kitsune Spell Expertise. Now we already got a choice of 1 of 3 cantrips a day, and we also got the choice of 1 of 3 first level spells for the day. Let's see what this maxes out to at level 13. Your tails show your magical mastery. During your daily prep, choose Confusion, Death Ward, or Illusory Scene. You can cast the spell as a 5th level Divine Innate spell once a day. You become an expert in the Divine Spell DCs and Divine Spell attacks. This is really cool because now we have 1 cantrip, 1 first level spell, and 1 5th level spell, 3 daily out of a choice of 3, like for each. So if you are a non-caster but chose these 3 things, you now have really good cantrips designed for role-play and utility. You have 3 really good first-level spells designed for buffing and utility. And now you have 3 really good crowd control and support spells, no matter what class you're playing.
Yeah. Not too bad. But anyway, now we have reached the capstone of the Kitsune feats, which is called Rampaging Form at level 17. Prereq, change shape with a fox alternate form. Once per day, you could change shape into a fox. When you change shape into a fox, you can gain the effects of both canine form of a fifth level animal form and a 7th level fiery body for 1 minute or until you shift back, whichever comes first. You can cast Produce Flame from the fiery body effect even though you're in a battle form. Special. If you are a frozen wind Kitsune, your form is ice instead of fire, and this changes the immunity and damage from the fiery body effect to cold, and changes the weakness of fire, and changes produce flame to ray of frost.
Yeah, so Malice 1974, two answers to your question. Oracles are divine, correct? They are indeed divine. However, while they are divine, their spells are considered revelation spells. They don't quite work the same as cleric spells, and you run the risk of having your revelation spells make your mysteries give you worse and worse curses. But also, on top of that, remember how we were joking about how you're going to be the nine-tailed fox? Rampaging form is the nine-tailed fox.
Yeah.
You just get it. You
Yeah.
get it.
Oh, Reap Psyche. You could be a Vulpex or a Alolan Vulpex. Pretty much.
Exactly. Exactly. And here's the cool thing. I don't know if these, yeah, it doesn't affect them, but like if you still get the Foxfire all the way back at level 1 and you have your tail wrap of Mighty Strikes, you can do so many cool attacks as his rampaging form. And the best part is this is just fake mechanics as written. You can still be an oracle, you can still be a sorcerer, you can still be a druid, a ranger, a rogue, a barbarian. And no matter what you are, you always have this badass ability to turn into a living, breathing, mischievous flamethrower with a twisted personality.
Yeah, honestly, I can see Kitsune being the party face so easily as a bard or investigator.
Absolutely. You can be a face. You can be a really good caster from the fact that it gets bonus to charisma and bonus to whatever you want. You could be a sorcerer, a bard, you could be a cleric, you could be an oracle, and no matter what casting class you choose, you always have weapons, physical
Yeah.
weapons that you're trained in. So you can fight no matter what threat. It's
Yeah.
it's a even though it's not chunky, like it's not a very chunky class ancestry. It's an amazingly fun and diverse class. And I
Let's
think
talk
that
about
these
these
amazing
amazing
ancestries, including the Sprite, probably the most fey of them all.
PJ, do you mind if I give a shout out really quick?
Oh, of course, give shout outs.
Well, it's to one of our audience members, Pengu Chan, because I know she likes the Fey wings and everything. So this one's for you, Pengu Chan.
Absolutely. Wings and everything. So,
Mhm.
do you want to do the introduction to the Sprite?
Sure. And also want to point out this is a rare ancestry, which means clear it with your GM first. But anyway, sprites are diminutive, whimsical, and exuberant creatures from the Fey realm known as the First World. They love playing pranks, exploring new things, and embracing everything to do with magic. When most people picture a Fey, chances are they're thinking of a sprite. The majority of sprites remain in the First World, where they're essentially immortal, reincarnating to a new form of Fae when their life eventually comes to an end. Some even meld together with others to form a more substantial body, or split off apart into smaller Fae. However, the sprites are incredibly curious about all forms of magic, leading to a significant number to risk the mortal world to explore new possibilities offered by the usually static nature of mortal existence. These creatures mix in with others, small groups of material plane comrades, including exiles from the First World, those whose families swore pacts to mortals, and even competent individuals curious to enter the mortal cycle of souls.
And what I love about the artwork, when you actually get this buy the book, which I recommend doing because all this information is more and more in these books, and the artwork's amazing. You have what looks like this little fairy sprite with the little antenna coming off her head, and she has these monarch wing butterfly wings, and she's armed with a two-handed sword that is basically a pocket knife. It
Yeah.
is precious. It
Also,
is
like the
adorable.
other one.
Oh yeah, it looks like someone took like a bat and gave him like his wings or like his shield and armor. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It looks like it reminds me of, I think it was from Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Dale's girlfriend who was a bat.
Yeah. Also, the one from Fern Gully. I
Yeah,
can see that.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah,
Well, I say, well, why don't you go over the mechanics?
I was just about to. You read my mind. So Out the gate, the sprite has 6 hit points and is tiny. You don't get to see it tiny often, mostly is small. But now you're
Mm-hmm.
tiny, and that's going to have some advantages in combat and roleplay. Your speed is only 20 feet because you are small, and small not go as much space. You get a dexterity, intelligence, and 1 free ability boost of your choice. However, to balance this out, you take an ability flaw to strength. Makes sense. How the hell is something the size of an ant gonna lift a big dragon? Languages: Common, Sylvan, language of the Fae. Well, at least like old Fae elves. Additional languages equal to your intelligence modifier can be Celestial, Draconic, Elven, Gnomish, Goblin, Jotun, and other languages to which you have access in your region. Low light vision, so you can see in dim light, and they do not get concealed in dim light. And magical strikes. Your inherent magic pervades your entire being. All strikes are magical, whether unarmed attacks or with weapons. At level 1, and this is why this is a rare class, a rare ancestry, I can see why. At level 1, everything you do is magical for the purpose of overcoming DR.
PJ, I just thought of
Yeah.
something with that tiny size. If you
Mhm.
take if you take the Titan wrestler as a sprite, does that mean you could judo flip a normal sized human being?
Technically, technically, rules is written, yes. If you take the Titan, if you can even take the Titan wrestler feat, if you can hit the prereqs, you could judo toss a normal human.
Yeah,
But
I'm
that's
just
it.
imagining a yoked sprite. A sprite that hit the gym. Like, judo flip! Hurrah!
Do you even Magic Pro? Do you even like Mischief Pro? Oh my god, let's go into the sprite heritages of these crazy creatures.
All right. Okay, I might have a little problem pronouncing some of these words, so I'm gonna ask your help, PJ, if I run into some problems.
My
I
my my pleasure.
I believe it's Draxi? Drasi?
Yes.
Yeah,
Draxi, yeah.
Drasi. You are kin to fairy dragons, tracing your heritage back to the death of the mightiest fairy dragon in the first world. You gain touch telepathy, allowing you to communicate silently and purely mentally with any creature you're touching as long as you share a language. Ooh, uh, with this, honestly, now I'm just picturing you could actually play as a character. You could play the familiar of your wizard friend, or like Lockheed from Marvel, who's basically a Shadowcat's friend, dragon pet thing.
Yeah. I was also thinking of Mantis, at least in the movie,
Uh huh.
how they did Mantis. Because,
Yeah.
she in the movie had to touch them. Um, Next up is the Grig. You have the hindquarters of a cricket, and you adore art and music. Your cricket legs give you a +2 bonus on athletic checks to high jump or long jump, and you gain Ghost Sound as a primal innate cantrip. That is a lot of fun for roleplay and utility. Obviously, won't be giving you much else because these things are so small. You're probably not going to want to focus on melee combat,
Yeah.
but you get to play that little fiddle, and as you play the fiddle, a ghost sound comes out.
You could be Jiminy Cricket.
You can be Cricketot from Pokemon.
Yeah. All right. Next one we have is Luminous Sprite. You glow with magical luminous. You naturally shed light as a torch. The light has the evocation light and primal traits. You can extinguish,
Has the
rekindle,
evocation. Yeah.
evocation. Yeah. You can extinguish, rekindle, or change the color of this light using a single action, which has the contrary trait. So I'm picturing now Navi from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Sorry for the
hey,
interruption. I'm
hey.
I'm losing the dialogue a bit, but I'm able to get bits and pieces. Yeah, I can definitely see Navi. I can also see the the Firefly fairies from Ferngully as well.
Yeah,
They like naturally had a glow butt.
yeah. I'm just gonna be if I'm a Fae and I'm a Luminous Sprite, I'm just gonna annoy the heck out of everyone. Like, hey, look at this! Hey, hey, look at this! Look at this! Hey, Link!
That's when you just crack them like that.
Yep.
Man. Also, great to see you in the chat. Sothogus, Fae are the fave, absolutely. And speaking of that, their next heritage choice is Malixi. I think I'm saying that right. You have the features of a bee, butterfly, or other insect that loves sweets. You can ask questions of and receive answers to arthropods, insects, spiders, scorpions, crabs, and similar invertebrate animals, as well as use diplomacy to make an impression on and request things of them. Most bees, butterflies, moths, and beetles have an indifferent or friendly starting attitude toward you and give you time to make your case, though other arthropods react to you like any other adventurer. So the Malixi is a really fun face character. It's not often that you get effectively a free speak with animals at will. This heritage does give you this. Basically, speak with animals. Now, granted, certain animals, but it's free all the time. You just have to make a diplomacy check. That's super cool.
Hey PJ, now I'm thinking of a Fae whose class is either it was probably a paladin with cavalier with a beetle mount.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so cool. You're definitely going Ferngully, and I love it.
Yeah.
Um, why don't you get the next one up? The Nike Terra.
Yeah, I think yeah. Nyctera. Ooh. You are bat-like creatures, an affinity for bat kind, and hearing that is second to none. As long as you can hear normally, you can use a seek action to sense undetected creatures in a 60-foot cone instead of a 30-foot cone. You gain also a +2 circumstance bonus to locate undetected creatures that you can hear within 30 feet with a seek action. So yeah, basically it's echolocation.
Yeah. And there's a feat that actually requires you to be
Oh.
the Nike Terra, and it's called Speak with Bats. You have to have this Nike Terra heritage, but getting this allows you to use diplomacy skills with bats. So
Mm.
kind of like the other one, the Malixies, where you get to speak with like bugs and invertebrates and shell-like creatures. This one you get to speak to
PJ,
bats with a
PJ, PJ,
plus two.
PJ. You
Mm.
could be Batmite.
Oh God, you can. Yeah, you absolutely could be Batmite. Um, so the next heritage, and this one's very quick. Pixie, you're just not tiny. You're now small, which sounds like nothing, but size matters, and there's different penalties and different repercussions and benefits for different sizes. So no longer being tiny is gonna have some really good
Mhm.
advantages as well. But you lose some of the really cool role playing stuff that you get
Yeah,
from taking any of these other
but you can,
heritages.
but you could definitely now judo flip a medium to large creature, I believe.
That's true. If you want to become a Titan grappler pixie, you could now be like, "Hello, horse!" Ha ha, and flip a
Mhm.
horse.
Oh, Reap
Oh God.
Psyche posted anthropods are everywhere, and apparently I just described their friend Ariel's 5e character.
Very nice, very nice. Uh, so now we've done away with the heritages. Let's talk about the ancestral feats.
Oh,
Oh,
the first
ooh.
one. I'm reading the
Oh
first one. I'm
no.
reading the first one.
Go ahead, you heard it. Oh,
Corgi Mount! The smallest
oh,
of Fae had ridden corgis as mounts since time immemorial, leading to a pattern on the corgi's back called a fairy saddle. You have formed a magical connection with a corgi that can serve as your mount. Your corgi familiar is small rather than tiny, and it's appropriate for use as your mount, unlike most familiars. It has the scent ability, which counts against your limit for familiar and master abilities as normal. Furthermore, it can never gain a familiar ability that grants it any speed other than a land speed. If you're a pixie, you can't ride a corgi due to your size, but you could take this feat to gain a corgi familiar.
oh
Yeah!
my God. I love Pathfinder knows their audience. Paizo's like, yo, bread loaf dogs. Yeah, what about them? Bread loaf dogs everywhere. Stuckers love bread loaf dogs. Oh
Yeah.
my God, you could be a corgi mounted cavalier pixie,
Mm-hmm.
or not a pixie,
Or
but
no, or one
right.
of the other ones. But I was gonna say you could also be a pixie with witch with corgi as your familiar.
Yep. Oh my God. So now here's the big Pengu Chan question. because do you want to have a corgi mount or a corgi companion? Because of course, why wouldn't you? Or do you want to have evanescent wings? You've manifested wings that can flutter for brief spurts. You don't need to spend any additional actions to reach something in your space that a medium creature could reach. For instance, if you wanted to open a cookie jar, God damn, that's adorable. If you wanted to open a cookie jar located 4 feet off the ground, you only need to spend a single interact action to do so. When you use evanescent wings to flutter to a higher place in your space, your action gains the move trait. You get beautiful little wings that basically let you do a whole bunch of actions that would take extra actions. Just as one free action. Just do it.
Really quick, Reap Psyche posted when I was talking about the corgi mount. Oh, geez, it's canon.
Yep, the corgi pets.
But anyway, moving on, we have Fey cantrips, level 1 feat. You've learned the cantrip sprites have used since time immemorial. You gain dancing lights and ghost sound as primal innate cantrips. If you have the Grig heritage,
Greg.
You also gain detect magic, and if you have the Drexy heritage, you gain prestidigitation.
That's nice. So basically, you can end up from this 1 feat alone. You could have 4 extra cantrips that you can cast, I believe, either daily or as part of your repertoire. Either way, 4 free cantrips a day. And I'm sorry, 3 free cantrips a day, depending on your heritage. That's really good. Yeah.
And once again, there's no prereqs as you have to be in a spellcasting class.
Yeah, it's just you get bonus feats for having a certain heritage. So we're going to skip Speak with Bats because we already talked about that. Sprite's Spark. You can fling a portion of your magic at foes. You gain a ranged unarmed attack in the sling weapon group with a maximum range of 20 feet that deals 1d4 damage. It's Foxfire. No ability modifier to damage roll. The damage type and name of the unarmed attack depends upon your heritage, described below. And this can be improved with hand wraps of mighty blows. So yeah, you want a free weapon all day, every day? There you go.
There you go.
Let's see here. So these are what these different heritages give you. Draxi gives you mental damage. Firefly gives you fire damage. Grig gives you sonic damage. Malixi gives you poison damage. Nicotera gives you sonic damage. And Pixie also gives you mental damage. It's pretty cool.
Okay, but I gotta say, at the level 1 feats, my favorite still goes to the corgis. The corgis!
I mean, you can't go wrong with corgis. They're really, really cool. But if you already played Druid and want to summon a corgi, do it. But you could also just have, like, a magical sling that's considered magic damage and can bypass DR.
Yeah.
Or you can take that later. Who knows?
Yeah, and honestly, if your GM ever goes after your corgi, they are a very, very bad boy. They are not good boys. They are bad boys.
If your GM goes after your corgi, then they're GMing right. You can't expect there to be targets immune to consequences. But that being said, level 5 Animal Speaker.
All right.
You want to hit this one or should I?
Sure, I'll hit it. Animal Speaker, level 5 feat. Prereq is ability to communicate with some animals, such as bats or arthropods. You can speak to all animals, not just a particular subset. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to make impression on animal, which is usually using a diplomacy skill. So, yeah, you speak to the animals. You're Dr. Doolittle.
See, I really like this feat because normally this would require a whole spell and a spell slot and all this kind of stuff. But in this case, you just have this ability innately. All you got to do is make a diplomacy check, which you have as an ability boost at level 1. So you're just good. This is awesome. Next up, Kitsune. This is also a 5th level feat, so decide which one you like the most. One action. You create a tune so catchy your foes can't help but dance along. Attempt a performance check against the will DC of all enemies in a 30-foot cone. On a critical success, they take a negative 10-foot status penalty to its speed, and it's flat-footed for 1 round. That's on a critical success. On a crit success, they lose 10 feet of movement, and they're flat-footed. for a round. Oh, this is you making a success.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was like, what? Okay. Success, 5 foot status penalty for 1 round. Critical failure, they're immune for an hour.
Yeah, this is definitely something to go with if you go with the Bard class.
I mean, either way, it's huge for
Yeah.
team utility. The fact that you have like a 30-foot flat-footed attack.
Yeah, you're essentially the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have something called the Fey Disguise. Level 5 feat, you can disguise yourself with magical illusions. You can cast Illusionary Disguise once per day as a first level primal innate spell. At level 7, the spell is heightened to second level and every 2 levels thereafter. The spell is heightened to additional spell level. So yeah, not too
Hmm.
shabby. You could be you could if you have two other Fey companions, or someone was like a halfling, you could be the top part of like three creatures in a trench coat.
But why would you want to have 3 kobolds in a trench coat when you could just be full-sized people in a trench coat? But it's funny, and if you're in a party with a sprite and a kitsune and a fetchling, all the ancestry we've covered, you have so many free
Yeah.
disguise checks. This is actually really cool. I'm going to skip Fey Influence because if you're here for the Fetchling and the Kitsune, they both get this option as well. Basically, it grants you a Primal DC, Primal Spell attacks, and 1 free Primal Spell based upon something that you're choosing when you take the feat. It's good, but it's redundant. Next up, Energize Wings. So you have to have evanescent wings. You stoke your magic to energize your wings, temporarily transforming them into glowing, majestic forms. For 1 minute, you gain the fly speed of 30 feet. So, if you're like, corgis are cool, Pegu-chan, but maybe I want big, awesome wings, you can have the wings and then just use them as fly speed
You want to know
once
what I
per
call
hour.
this? I call it the Fairy Super Saiyan mode.
I was imagining a little sprite just going, ah! And like, oh no, what is she doing? She's getting more powerful. Ah, oh no, she's got wings. Oh, okay. And then she flies and like decks them. Like,
Yeah. Hey, that's where that Titan wrestler feat comes in.
oh my god, yeah. That's when you fly. That's when you become Ant Man,
Yeah.
legit Ant Man. You fly up, you grab him by the collar, and you just judo toss him.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, we have a level 9 feat called Fey Magic. You can use fairy magic to hide yourself and expose hidden foes. You can cast Fairy Fire and Invisibility each once per day as primal innate spells. This is not too bad, especially the invisibility spell.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Next up, Face Skin. While you are more susceptible to cold iron than most of the wingless, you also have an incredible resilience and a deeper connection to the healing energies of the first world. Increase your maximum hit points by amount equal to your level. Wow. If you rest for 10 minutes, brilliant light from the first world seeps into your form from your wings, or spot where your wings would be, causing you to regain a number of hit points equal to your level. This is cumulative with any hit points you regain from treat wounds. However, you gain weakness 5 to. Oh, wow. So at level 13, you can just increase your maximum hit points by your level. and and that's amazing because the biggest problem with this ancestry, it has some of the smallest HP for an
Mm-hmm.
ancestry, and if you're playing a caster class, which you probably will, you don't have to, but you might be, so your HP is going to be very limited. This completely bypasses that problem and allows you to heal yourself at will.
Yeah.
Basically, all you need is 10-minute rest, and you. Oh,
Yeah, just hide in the pocket of your heavily armored fighter.
yeah. And the only downside is you gain 5 weakness to cold iron. If anyone's attacking with cold iron, that's not a very common weapon type.
Yeah.
It's simple to get, but you kind of have to need it. Like, you have to kind of know you need it to
It's
even consider
it's
it.
very situational.
Yeah. So face skin is pretty dope.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better than Invisible Tracker, why don't you cover that one?
All right, it's Invisible Trickster. Level
Oh, my
13, yeah,
bad.
level 13 feat. You have learned how to become invisible and remain so. You can cast 4th level invisibility as a primal innate spell once per hour. I'm going to go with this one, I think, because, yeah, once per hour, and it's a 4th level invisibility. That's really nice, especially if you go with Arcane, Rogue, Arcane Trickster, and on top of that, you have, you're tiny. You can hide in the shadows as a tiny little firefly thing.
Yeah, not bad. Like, it has a duration of 10 minutes at 4th level heightened. I believe in combat, you can do it for like 1 minute of combat or something. It's
Hmm.
it's not bad. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Yeah, Rusaki said once per hour. Yeah, once per hour, you can go invisible for up to either 10 minutes out of combat or 1 minute in combat or whatever the distinction
And
is.
I believe
Pretty damn good.
as a tiny creature, you get bonuses when you're hiding in darkness, in the shadows, invisible, right?
I don't. I think if you're invisible, I don't believe that stacks. But either way, who cares? You're invisible.
Yeah.
Like you get the full benefit in any lighting. Um, I mean, face skin is great if you're like, oh boy, I just need to not get mollywopped every 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the 4th level is the improved invisibility of yeah, exactly. It lasts longer and it's just better.
Yeah.
Now the capstone and probably the last thing we'll talk about for today's episode, the hero's wings. So if you did get all those other things, energized wings and evanescent wings, you can get this at level 17. It's the only thing at level 17,
Hmm.
so consider that when moving forward. You've begun the final steps to reaching your full potential. Your wings are always in their majestic form without you needing to use energized wings, granting you a permanent fly speed equal to 30 feet. Furthermore, sprites recognize you as a powerful hero or villain by your unique wings and their appearance, and they are appropriately impressed. You get a +2 bonus to diplomacy and intimidation checks against sprites, and gain the benefits of the Glad Hand skill feat against other sprites without taking a -5 penalty to diplomacy check. What is Glad Hand? Glad you asked. The level 2 feat that you get for free with this other feat. First impressions are your strong suit. Basically, you can immediately attempt a diplomacy check to make an impression on a creature rather than needing to talk to it for a minute already. You get a -5 to this check. If you fail or critically fail, you can't do it again for at least a minute. But as a hero, you don't get that -5 penalty. So it's really cool. It's a very powerful role play ability, but
Hmm.
it's also hyper specific because it only works with other sprites, pixies,
Yeah.
and things like that.
It works very well if you decide to play a setting where you're already in a Fey kingdom, kind of, you know?
Yeah, and it's weird because it's the only level 17 feat
Hmm.
for their ancestry. It's their capstone ability, and it requires a pretty hefty cost of the entire wings skill
Hmm.
tree.
Really quick, Malice posted about the improved invisibility, so you can attack and stay invisible.
Yes, heightened 4th level invisibility says the spell lasts for 1 minute, but it doesn't end if the target uses a hostile action. So the 4th level is the combat variant where if you're a rogue pixie or whatever, and you're sneak attacking, you go invisible, you're just sneak attacking everyone, and you're not losing stealth at all,
Yep. Shank,
which
shank, shank,
is
shank, shank.
very much so. All right, so oh my god, so we have the sprites, the kitsune, the fetchlings. We have all these amazing the feats and heritages. What's your favorite? Rupsaki seems to really dig the kitsune. I don't blame him. That foxfire is amazing. What was your favorite, Mike?
If I had to list 1 to 3, it would honestly be, yeah, Kitsune, Fetchlings, and then Sprites. I will say I have a really good idea for a sprite, a swashbuckler sprite. Yeah,
Ooh,
kind of a Puss in Boots situation from Shrek.
yeah, very much so. So my problem is these ancestries are so amazing that I can just come up with so many fun builds for them.
Mhm.
Kitsune might be fun to play someone who's kind of like a blaster type.
Mm-hmm.
The Fetchling looks like it's a lot of fun for rogues. God, I don't know. I think I'm gonna say Fetchling just because no one's giving the Fetchlings love, but I think the sprites are a nice variant. I love.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's. We have a little bit of time here. Let's talk about how these three ancestries could fit into our world of Edge of Legend.
Absolutely. So these these ancestries and the world they represent do exist in Edge of Legend, but we're just now kind of seeing it. Like the Fetchlings, for example, they are people from the Shadow Plane, the plane in between our world and the negative world, that buffer, that mirror world. And the mirror is definitely important. There's a small shout out to the whole thing in last episode of Edge of Legend, and hopefully more answers to that with the darkness. Um, so fetchlings definitely exist. I think it's just rare because they try so hard to blend in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, the sprites live in the Faelvanane. The Faelvanane is kind of like the Fey dimension where all the Fey gods live and where the elves came from with the Yanzid and the Life Seed. So there's just a crap ton of tiny tyrants and pixies and sprites all up in that place. There might be even a few in Moss, since Moss is trying to kind of create that bridge
Yeah.
between the Fae and
Uh,
our world.
Honestly, I'm picturing there. Honestly, I would not be surprised if there. I would honestly be surprised if there isn't any sprites in Molly Moss.
Right? Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
weird. There's a whole bunch of stuff there, and I think last but not least, like obviously the Kitsune is based upon the Japanese culture. That's, I mean, the name itself is Japanese for fox, or at least the fox um, fairy, the fox spirit. So I feel like the Kitsune, there, I know for a fact there are Kitsune in Shin, in Odeyasu, a few in Kokujo, and the Great Divide sea chains. I I think they do exist in other places of the world, but they try very hard to keep that a secret
Mm-hmm.
because it's probably not something a lot of people are familiar with. They're familiar with werewolves, you know, werebears. So when they see a kitsune, they're probably going to mistake it for a werefox. But there are
So,
definitely some kitsune within the Compass Rose.
so you would say they're a small. There's not that many of them, and most of them typically live like hidden lives.
I think so, and I don't think it's any negative effect. I feel like with kitsune, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they kind of always live a hidden life.
Yeah,
That's the majority of their flavor. That's why they have that dichotomy, right, of
yeah.
tailless and tailed. So yeah, they're definitely there, but they definitely live hidden lives. And who knows? Maybe as we play more, we'll see more of that
Hmm.
come out. But you have to get
Interesting.
there. You know, we have to. We have so much we gotta do.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Honestly, I kind of want to say because from what it seems, we've only really scratched a little tiny corner of the Edge of Legend world so far.
There's a lot. Like I want to introduce you guys to the five floating pirate cities.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, you also have the Grey Ash tribe of orcs, which you heard a little bit about, and just so much of the Great Divide and the Great Dragon War and a whole bunch of stuff. But that's for another day.
Hmm.
Uh, Speaking of lore in the world, I did a shout out earlier. I want to make sure I can repost it again. This Saturday, we're doing the Night Witches of New Jack City as a charity one shot, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Not only is it to honor International Women's Day, but it's also to raise money as a charity for Planned Parenthood. I sent the link in here once. I want to do it again for you guys as we're trying to raise $1,000 for Planned Parenthood. You know, we did it once. You guys were amazing. You came out with love, and I think we can do it again. So come check out the show this Saturday, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Links in the chat right there. If you want to give now, you can. If you want to, you know, spread that link to some of your friends, do so. It's for a great cause, obviously, Planned Parenthood. But without further ado, I think we can go into our goodbyes because we're probably going to talk more about
Yeah.
the night, which is in New Jack City then. So, Mr. Michael Powell, please, if you will, tell them who you are and where we can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, I am Michael Powell. You can find me pretty much everywhere on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell Does Stuff, because I do a lot of stuff, such as my YouTube channel, which is called Fantastic Tales of Adventure. Got a lot of really cool stuff being planned right now. And also, I believe on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm on the Toyzilla Network as one half of the show called Toyzilla Live, where we talk about toy news and nostalgia. It's a lot of fun, and we also have on that channel a couple of really cool signings coming up with Funko Pops. One of them is with the original voice actress of She-Ra, and then we have another voice actress who does a couple voices like Windry from Full Metal Alchemist, and she does one of the characters from My Hero Academia. So really looking forward to those.
Nice. Very, very cool. Just saw jump into the chat is Lost Thoughts. So awesome to see you. Sorry about the terrible timing. We're just wrapping up Lost Thought, but it's really great to see you. Well, before we go, my name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Come hang out. Let's have some fun, and let's talk about really great things. When I'm not here at the table with Mr. Michael Powell on Tuesdays, 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can catch me here Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Edge of Legend. And it's just, I love all the actions they're doing in Agrippa upon a Bear, all the secrets they're running into. And of course, if you hadn't had a chance, check out our show on YouTube as we put in the archives, where Ichi, the luchador herself, conquered 30 other combatants in the Azmokan Royal Rumble to prove that Lucha was the superior wrestling power in Agrippa upon a Bear, and some other really fun twists and turns. We'll see where they happen Wednesday. Last but not least, I know I've been hyping this up. I just really want, this to go well. The Night Witches of New Jack City. This Saturday, March 6th, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., we're doing a one-shot for charity. The charity, of course, is Planned Parenthood to celebrate International Women's Day. And the Night Witches of New Jack City, based upon the actual Night Witches of Russia during World War II, female heroes that took to the sky and defended their home against an evil force. But now that's going to become canon in New Jack City as we show you what happens when the Night Witches, in their airplanes and bombers, take on dragons and much worse. Link in the chat description. Please check it out. And who are we having? We have some special guests. I want to get to this. We have some special guests because it's going to be an all-female game played. We're going to have, of course, Sydney and Kylie from Nat20 Productions. They're going to be there. We're going to have Syrup from Waffles Maple Syrup, who we're going to be rating shortly. She was an amazing guest on the Journey North along with Waffles. So Syrup's going to be coming back and joining us as a guest. Last but not least, we also have Bev Thomas, a.k.a. Senatani, who did a lot of our artwork in the beginning. Did an amazing job with that. She's going to be a Night Witch. Also joining us, another artist from our show, Zach Goggins, Zakia Goggins, also known as Zach the Drac, who did amazing work with Ielenu, Morinle, and Isuo. She's coming to take to the skies. And last but not least, another amazing, awesome friend, Jordan Lambert. She's going to be joining us as well. So we have a nice star-studded cast, great friends, great times, and let's hope that we have some fun. So, thank you for that, all that ranting. Mm-hmm. I love you all. And I will see you same Nat time, same Nat channel here at the table. Have a good one and be safe, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.